What the hell? It's a goddamn coup.
All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. We are missing Jetted, who is
Jarrett. I
yep.
thought you were going to say Skip Bayless.
Well, Jared's going to be on the podcast just to really say, "Hey, guys, it's all about balance." And so I don't think he's going to really. I don't think he's going to have a lot to say.
Street level knowledge. We have the Avengers, and then he's the Hawkeye.
And he hates Hawkeye in real life. He hates all.
Exactly, but he's the Hawkeye of fantasy football, or just football in general.
Absolutely. We're missing also Mr. Skip Bayless, CJ Marshall himself. He said he had to speak to his wife in order to be on the podcast. So that's what he told me this morning.
Did he really say that?
For sure.
Yeah, he gave us the talk to the wife objection. He's like, I didn't know that we confirmed Tuesday. He's like, I gotta talk to Kelsey and like clear things and make sure it's okay. We're like, dude, we talked about Tuesday 45 times.
Yeah. So
I haven't even been paying that much attention to the group text, and I knew we were doing today.
Absolutely. So listen, we're gonna go ahead and dive in, guys. First and foremost, we're gonna get started with the Giants and Seahawks. Now, y'all are Seahawks fan, and to be clear, I have not been. I've been really high on the Saints and really low on the Seahawks. I've talked a lot of shit, and Seattle looks like hey, listen, they're 3-1. The Giants look like they made some really bad financial decisions when it comes to Daniel Jones. Evan O'Neal, or whatever his name is, looks like a complete bust. He is so bad at football. The offensive tackle, I mean, he is absolutely horrendous. I don't even know why they got Darren Waller. They don't even use him. And Devin Witherspoon looks like freaking Tyrann Mathieu in his prime. Gosh, what an incredible performance by Seattle. I feel bad for the safety, Jamal Adams, but just great overall team win. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, I feel bad for Jamal. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I was very rude when I texted y'all in the group text, but you got to feel bad for him, man. Like,
you want him to retire.
I did. I did.
He's a competitor, and
he hasn't played in like what? It's been over a year, right?
370 something days is what they said.
Yeah, like, man, that's nuts. And like you saw him on the field, he was pissed. He wanted to come back in the field. On the field, but
he was excited to play.
I think he also realizes, just to kind of reflect on, like, because they even said it on TV, this is the Legion of Boom 2.0, and he's kind of getting left in the dust, man. Like Tariq Woolen, we got Devin Witherspoon. Those two guys are phenomenal. And we also,
Quandre Diggs
wasn't even, phenomenal picks. Kobe Bryant wasn't even active. I don't think Julian Love played either, did he, Eli?
Julian Love played.
He played? Okay, well, we missed somebody.
Because this was his former team.
Oh, okay. Well, we were missing someone else, but even Julian Love is a solid pick. Pro Bowler Quandre Diggs. I forgot to say that in the group text earlier because I was busy. But, like, dude, our defensive backfield is so stacked. We need to fill in other spots. But, like, because our D-line's still kind of trash. But, like, dude, the Seahawks' future, at least defensively and offensively, I'm excited. I
wish they threw the ball to Jackson Smith. Gosh, he has 2 catches for 2 yards.
I don't know what you were expecting, dude, but they still had DK and Tyler. Like, they're going to get theirs. He's going to be the third cog in that offense.
Yeah, I don't care if he's the third option. I just care that they throw him the ball past 5 yards.
Think about it this way: do you put Tyler Boyd on your fantasy team?
Do I put him on my fantasy team? No.
Okay, that's Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, that's basically what he is right now. He's the Tyler Boyd.
No, Tyler gets long catches. Jackson, they say hut, and they give
Jackson.
Okay,
he's glorified. He runs halfback tosses.
So the difference between that comparison, though, I think he meant more player style wise, or at least right now, is the Bengals offense. Yeah, they push the ball down the field. The Seahawks, they want to run the ball. Like, especially when you got Ken, who has also been balling, dude. They're
gonna dink and dunk their way. Yeah. 7. He has 7 touchdowns.
7. There we go.
I mean, yeah,
think it's 7.
he looks good. They're in a tough division. I will say that is like I don't see them winning the NFC West. Obviously, that's San Francisco, but they're going to them and obviously the Rams. I think when Cooper comes back, who knows what's going to happen. We'll talk about that Rams game very shortly, but right now they look like they're a wild card playoff team. That if somebody comes to their home stadium that late in the season, there's a chance they can upset some people. And
12.
What's interesting is I thought the Giants game was really interesting because last year you could argue the Giants and the Seahawks were very similar teams. Overperformed where they were supposed to be, had quarterbacks who kind of made comebacks. And obviously this year.
Yeah. I think we're starting to realize how much Saquon matters. And we talk about like the running back value, but Saquon matters. He hides a lot of deficiencies in that offense, right? So, all right, guys, let's go to Detroit and Green Bay. Jordan Love had a 6-to-1 touchdown ratio. Went out and had a comeback against the almighty great Saints when Derek Carr got injured. Laid an absolute goose egg. I mean, a pretty embarrassing performance against Detroit. To be fair, Detroit kicked him in the mouth, then kicked him in the mouth again, and then kicked him in the mouth again. Jared Goff looked incredible. Amon St. Brown is a bona fide superstar.
God.
David Montgomery, I mean, they don't even give the ball to the other guy. David Montgomery, three touchdowns. And Aiden Hutchinson, we talked about this in our group. Sometimes we just overcomplicate draft decisions, like from Trey Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden, the Detroit hero, he's a top 10 defensive end right now, and he's entering that top 6, top 7 range. Detroit, they're going to win a lot of games this year. What are your thoughts?
Big fan of Detroit. Love Dan Campbell. I mean, I do want to say something about the David Montgomery thing because this was going around on Twitter, and I think I actually sent it in the group text too, is literally right after that game, shout out to David Montgomery. He went hard, but like
I had him on my bench.
Y'all remember the video of the Lions front office after they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs?
They said that quote that said you never know how you're going to use them, and they were like, I didn't know like this way.
Exactly. Like, what the fuck, man?
Not at all.
Like, he hasn't been used at. It's bad when I got excited because I have him on my fantasy team and he had 7 catches for 22 yards. I was like, hell yeah, man. That was his best game of the year. So, but it's all jokes aside, big fan of the Lions. Love what they're doing. Love Dan Campbell. I mean, I hope he wins Coach of the Year.
And then just a great draft class. The linebackers balling out. That defensive back, Brian Branch, I hope he's healthy. I know he was a little injured that game, but he's been like the steal of the draft, essentially. I mean, this guy's been, besides Puka, Brian Branch has just been ripping it up. They have the best O-line in the NFL. They're built to win. They're going to win.
We're really seeing how much O-lines, like when you build a team, you build it through the trenches at this point. O and D line. Like,
that's how you win.
That completely changes everything from the Eagles last year, the 49ers.
Yep. You look at Brock Purdy, he was 14 for 14.
Cowboys.
Look, Brock Purdy's not Joe Montana. He's got a great O-line. He's got weapons.
Yeah, just to play devil's advocate, though, the Bengals and the Chiefs, neither one of them have great O-lines.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Now, guys, Green Bay, let's talk a little bit about that right quick. Obviously, they've been injured. It's hard to win without Aaron Jones. It's hard to win without, Christian Watson's first game back. Luke Musgrave got hurt. Where do y'all see the Packers this year? Are they just a mediocre team, or what
They're the second best team in that conference, in that division.
Okay.
And I think a fringe wild card team, if everybody stays healthy. I think David Bakhtiari is one of the biggest losses. Like, especially for a young quarterback, like always, he was literally sacked or hit on like every play. Like Aiden Hutchinson just lived in the backfield. And then, like you said, like when your weapons are injured and I just think that I think they could be a fringe team if everybody gets healthy.
I disagree. I think that I just I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're a mediocre team at best. And I think they need weapons. I think that they drafted 2 of those tight ends. And I don't know, man. AJ Dillon has to be. This is a guy.
Disappointment.
Huh?
He's trash.
What a disappointment.
What a disappointment. That's enough about Green Bay. I'm done with them. Atlanta and Jacksonville, the early morning game. What a cool game. I saw a quote the other day, believe it or not, that Jonnu Smith has 15 catches for 179 yards, and Kyle Pitts has 11 catches for 121. They have the same amount of targets. So the number 1 tight end in Atlanta is not even Pitts. It's Jonnu Smith. So I thought that was interesting to say the least. Desmond Ridder, a week after saying this team has a lot of heart, got his ass kicked. And he said he was never out the game. He was out of this one. Pick six. And, Jacksonville, who I believe is one of the bigger disappointments this year. I just don't feel like they really put it together. Did take advantage and win the game, obviously. The running back, obviously Bijan looked good. Kyle Pitts had 2 catches. Once again, Desmond Ridder looked below average. And, we all this talk about their head coach being about an offensive guru. Maybe I'm spoiled because of the Sean Payton era where we used to win with Trevor Siemian. I just don't see it. So what are y'all thoughts about this game, guys?
You want to take this one?
I was gonna say I watched most of the game, and what the announcer said, one thing that really stuck out to me: the Jaguars just don't know what their identity is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing. They don't know. Are you going to feed Calvin Ridley the ball every time? Is he a Devontae Adams guy, or are they just going to spread the ball around? Are they?
No, I was just gonna say, and I think that's actually that was part of. I'll let you finish, but that was part of the point I was gonna say, and I think that's also a Trevor Lawrence issue too. You're in year 3, you got to make that shit known. You got to come out and be the guy. That's what everyone's expecting.
Yeah, is Evan Ingram the guy? They like to feed Evan Ingram the ball a lot. And it just feels like a lot of times they don't know what their identity is. Sometimes they'll run the ball, and then other times they won't run the ball for 20 plays. And it's you have a great running back, Travis Etienne. You got Tank Bigsby's good, and they just go away from it. And then on defense, it's they're good, but they're not there. And then on the other side of the ball, the Falcons. Bijan, they need to feed. I would give the ball to Bijan even more. There's sometimes Bijan just won't touch the ball. There should never be a drive where Bijan doesn't touch the ball. What they definitely need to do more is more running back screens. When he gets the ball in the flat, he makes people miss. You do not tackle him on the first play. They have got to just do more running back screens rather than just running him up the middle every time.
Yeah. Bijan's a fun player. I just want to say that. I even said that in the group text. You just sit there and you watch him and you're just man, the way he moves, he's so elusive. He makes people miss with ease. So I agree. The Falcons, they were honestly a little bit more impressive to me, even with the terrible play of Desmond Ridder, because I think it's just a matter of time before Taylor Heineke comes in and, maybe stabilizes that ship a little bit, because I wasn't a believer in Desmond Ridder from the beginning. But I don't know. I think they have the pieces around them. They have Drake London. They have Kyle Pitts. I don't know if the scheme works. I say Kyle Pitts. Maybe I should have said Jonnu Smith. But I don't know.
Bonafide blue chip player, bro.
Yeah. I don't know if the scheme will work to at least win and take them long term. But when last time we did see Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, he had Derrick Henry and he ran for 2,000 yards, and that was a pretty good offense.
He's a great run schemer.
Yeah, he's one of probably the best in the NFL at that. So, and that is their strength. They have a great offensive line, And just a little bit, on the other side to the Jaguars, like I said, Trevor Lawrence is disappointing. Doug Peterson is also disappointing as well, because I was so impressed with him and what he did last year, especially towards the end of the season. And we're still only going in, week 5. So that's not a huge, press the panic button yet, because they're what, like 2-2?
2-2, I think.
2-2. Okay, so yeah, so they're not at a panic button press yet, but they have not really looked great, and they've had a couple games where they just looked terrible.
To be fair, they started off slow last year and got it together. Hopefully, I picked them to win the AFC South, so hopefully they figure it out. But Houston looks really good. Speaking of,
CJ Stroud, man.
Yeah, CJ looks great. But I want to talk about Miami and Buffalo. Wow, what a great game! A week after Miami puts up over 70, pretty good. Gets manhandled by Buffalo. When you think about Buffalo's season, it's really interesting. The first week, Josh Allen was a turnover machine, right? I was even like, for those of you that don't know, I'm the biggest Josh Allen fan. So I was like, I couldn't even talk shit in the group. I was like, yeah, that was just a bad performance. Like, there's at some point you can't take up for your boy anymore. 4 turnovers week 1. It was like pretty bad. And, but to say the least, the last 3 games, he has had MVP caliber performances, man. And last week, he went in and showed there's tiers to this. And you have Kansas City, you have Buffalo, and then Miami's not there yet, man. And maybe they can be. But at least in my opinion, you just got to respect the tiers. And it runs through Buffalo. And I think they showed that. Without any run, Stephon Diggs, vintage, 3 touchdowns. Miami's defense is a problem. Let's just start off with that. Pat Mahomes is going to destroy that defense in the playoffs. They're aggressive. One of the things I loved about the Bills, man, is Gabe Davis even came to play. Josh Allen was running the ball again. I think he had 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns. Ed Oliver in that defensive line looks healthy. Von Miller comes back this week, which is pretty fired up. That's going to add some really juice to that defensive end position. Tre'Davious White being hurt, man, you wish the best for him. It seems like every year he's just,
dealing with something.
Yeah, he's probably done if I had to guess. But on Miami's side, once again, their running games. Speaking of great running games, I mean, A-Chain goes for another 100 yards on 8 carries. But I guess my takeaway from this game, guys, is that Buffalo's in a tier of its own with Kansas City. What are your thoughts?
So I have a couple questions that I came away with this game. So for one, my question would be more on Tua. Is he Tua and Mike McDaniel? I would say kind of equally. Are they going to be able to figure it out? Because you can't have these games like weekly. And like you said, you said
you go against great defenses. Yeah,
like Buffalo and Chiefs, they're like own little tier. But when you put up 70 in a game, dude, I remember just last week, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone on ESPN saying that they're the greatest show on turf, part 2.
I mean, they shut down Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, if you're Mike McDaniel and you're Tua Tagovailoa, you have to be able to get that going. You have nothing but phenomenal weapons. You have Jalen Waddle, you have Tyreek Hill. They have those 2 great running backs, Devon Chain, however, he just changed it, or I don't remember how to do it. But they also like Raheem Mostert, the track star, and then Jeff Wilson's coming back too, who's not a bad player whatsoever. So I am worried about this Dolphins team, and my worry lies on those 2 pieces. I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done. We've seen Mike McDaniel in the playoffs. I mean, they've always been able to put up points, but even in the playoffs last year, I don't remember who it was, but who they get knocked out to. But they put up a lot of points on them. That is what the point, because
the Eagles.
The Eagles, thank you. The Eagles knocked them out, and they put up how much? It was
the Eagles didn't knock out Miami. They're in different conferences.
I'm talking.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when he was with the 49ers.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they got knocked out there, and the defense showed up late. I mean, didn't show up late last year, and they're not showing up now, and it's the same issue. So
They're missing Jalen Ramsey. They're missing
I was about
Jalen.
to say I'm interested to see how they do when Jalen gets back. Because he gives them that tenacity, like another just like, and they were missing their safety.
I thought it was
They were missing. No, he gets back in like week like 6 to 8, something like that is what they're hoping for.
Okay.
But yeah, and then they missed their safety too, which so those are big pieces. They got to figure out their defense for sure. I think Mike McDaniel's good. I think Tua is interesting. We'll see. Is he a guy who can rise above and like can he lead his team to victory against like the Bills and the Chiefs, stuff like that? That'll be interesting. I think the Bills are.
Yeah, I mean the Bills are good, and Von Miller is gonna put a spark on that team, and it's they. The thing about the Bills that most people don't give them credit for is they're great drafters. They do. They have such a great GM.
James Cook looks nice too.
Yeah, they do it.
That corner.
By the way, I think y'all are gonna go. I think Tua. I don't think Tua is the problem. I think it's unrealistic for Tua to have to put up 50 every week. I think Tua is a great quarterback as long as he can stay healthy. My issue is that defense. I mean, they just can't stop anybody, and
yeah.
Hopefully they figure that out.
The O line's not great either.
The O line's not great.
And Teron Armstead got hurt.
Yeah. Speaking of which, talking about people that can't stop anybody, let's talk about Denver and Chicago. I think that Justin Fields goes like 14 for 14. He looks like Joe Montana versus the Sean Payton led defense, who I don't even know who's on that defense. Supposedly, yeah, to be fair, Chicago, they leave Chase Claypool at home. There's a little bit of beef going on there. DJ Moore has a few touchdowns. Huh?
I was just saying he's XFL bound.
Yeah. DJ Moore has a few touchdowns. Cole Kmet, who's my fantasy tight end, puts up 27. So what a great wild card move by Dave here. And let's talk about which, by the way, I don't think any of these teams are relevant moving forward. I still, in my opinion, think that Justin Fields is not the guy. Let's go to Sean Payton here. I've been able to see personally Sean Payton go 5-1 with Teddy Bridgewater. I saw him go 4-1 with I think Taysom Hill. This is a guy who beat Tampa Bay and Tom Brady with Trevor Siemian, and for whatever reason, they are just not clicking. And that defense is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen in my life.
Which is shocking because that was their strength last year. Like, that was the thing. Like, they had an elite defense, but literally the worst.
Patrick Surtain just looks bad.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, it's shocking. Like, the Denver Broncos are just such a conundrum because, I mean, I agree. Sean Payton was supposed to be the answer, and we've seen. I don't want to say, like, even if Russell Wilson is cooked, like, we've seen worse at, like, him do at least something with, maybe not worse. Like, I'm not going to say Taysom Hill is worse at quarterback, but like Taysom Hill, Trevor Siemian, those at quarterback, at least that's not really, he won with those guys and he can't do nothing with Russell. You got the Dolphins put up 70, and then, I mean, didn't they end up winning this last game, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they won.
They were losing at like, what was it, 21 something at one
28-7.
28-7, thank you. And yeah, that's just like, come on, man. Like, I don't know where do you even start? What's like, how do you fix this team? They have no draft picks.
Well, they do now. They got their pick back. But
they got one pick back.
Yeah, they do have their picks, most of them back. But I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, the offense doesn't even look as bad. The defense is absolutely trash. I was actually telling Dave about this the other day, but like, even like when Sean Payton was with the Saints, their defenses weren't good for a long time, like until they got a
coordinator.
Yeah. And like I was gonna say, like, you know, you look at last year, their coach was wasn't he a defensive coordinator? Oh no, it was never mind. It was Nathaniel Hackett. He was offensive. But they had who was their defensive coordinator last year? Was it Vance Joseph? I think it might have been. But
Oh,
anyways,
yeah, the guy from he's the defensive coordinator for the Panthers now. I can't remember his
oh
name.
yeah. He has the weird name. It's like Iro or Iro or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it's something like
But yeah, he was good, and he's good with the Panthers now. But like, so I think that you know they got to find that guy on defense, and and the Bears are toast.
yeah.
They're about to, you know, they have the number 1 and 2 overall pick. They're about to get Marvin Harrison and Caleb Williams.
Oh
Yeah.
man, they gotta draft Jake May and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they
It's
have to
gonna
figure
be
something
it's
out.
gonna be the Redskins part 2 when
Yeah.
they drafted RG3 and Kirk Cousins, except it's gonna be worse.
Yeah. Well, you know, this I don't think any of these teams are going to move forward in any type of playoff consideration. I think they're really bad. I think they need to build. And speaking of which, let's go to Baltimore and Cleveland. Did Deshaun Watson less? Now, what's interesting is he was cleared to play. He decided not to play, which, you know, I'm not the front office, but, you know, that's kind of a red flag, kind of. Just
Yeah.
a little bit here.
And
Kareem Hunt's out. You know, they couldn't do anything. That there was a play where the quarterback was just running and just dropped the ball. Lamar Jackson, which is where I want to spend most of my time here, looked efficient. Obviously, he put on some weight, man. He looks thick but fast. They had some really great quarterback designs. Obviously, they look like the king of the AFC North right now with the Bengals struggling. And Mark Andrews is what a difference maker. We talk a lot about Zay Jones and what Odell was going to do, but it just made Mark Jones better. I mean, Mark Jones was just absolutely dominant last week, and it was really cool to be able to see Lamar Jackson have just a great game. And I could see them going deep in the playoffs. Eli, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best. I mean, I think it can go deep. They are Lamar Jackson looks better than ever. I mean, especially just throwing the ball. Like I think you know, and I told you, remember when you drafted Mark Andrews, I was like, hey, I know these other 2 pieces are nice, but they're gonna make them even better. And like I mean, they open up the outside. You can't just focus on Mark. He's still a touchdown machine. But Zay Jones, you got some outlets. Zay Jones looks good as a rookie. You know, I think that their defense looks good too. That doesn't get talked about enough, but like they got some
They're
good
just
pieces on defense. And
they're an optimistic defense that allows a lot of yards. That just you hold them to field goals. That's what they do well.
yep. And I think they're going to go far. I mean, I think that they're close to being in that tier with Kansas City and Buffalo. We'll see. But I think that they could be they're close.
Matt.
I mean, you know how I feel about Lamar, man. That's my guy. Whenever you were hating on Lamar after he got drafted, you know, me and you made that clear. Josh Allen's been your guy from the start. Lamar Jackson's been mine from the start. We've had plenty and plenty of arguments going back and forth, years now. And I'm not going to say conceded, but we have come more to an agreement that obviously both are just these completely elite quarterbacks that can do almost anything that no other quarterback can do in the NFL.
They make plays that humans shouldn't be able to make.
Exactly. You know, like, and you have even come around on Lamar just as I've come around on Josh Allen, obviously. Because I was not a huge Josh Allen fan to start. Not to say I wasn't a fan. I just think when you have Stephon Diggs, it makes things a lot easier. But on Lamar Jackson's side, man, I'm very happy with what I've seen. I think the Ravens are going to go far. I love that he's getting to prove people that he can actually lead a team with his arm, because obviously that was a big question, even, you know, after he's won a freaking MVP, that people still wanted to doubt him and say that, yeah, he's not a real quarterback. He's Cam Newton, basically. but, more or faster, more elusive. He's not a guy that's going to be able to come back from behind. And we've seen him do everything. We've seen him beat you with his legs. We've seen him beat you with his arm. And now he has weapons that can get on the outside, get in the middle. He has weapons all around. Even without a great running game right now, he still has Justice Hill. That's, honestly played pretty well, given like his size and stature, and has complemented Lamar very well. So I'm excited to see what the Ravens can do.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the Browns here. Obviously, listen, we're let's not overreact. Deshaun didn't play, right? So now, however, although Deshaun has not looked good all year, last week it's almost like when Nick Chubb went out, they played to Deshaun's strengths, right? And they obviously won the game, the week before. Hopefully, that defense in Cleveland is the real deal. Right, Myles Garrett is incredible. Grant Delpit's really coming on. There's a few other players that obviously Denzel Ward and other players. So, I'm interested to see what Cleveland does over the remaining of the year with Nick Chubb being out. Obviously with Deshaun. Do you think they're a playoff team?
As bad as the Bengals look right now, I want to say yes, because the Browns, even with Deshaun Watson, he's looked, great at times.
He looks like there's more times than not he's looked like a bottom 25 quarterback.
Yeah. You saying Joe Burrow or Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So, he had his one game where he looked okay. That's what I was going to say. Like, he wasn't been great, but he had his one game where he looked better. But he hasn't been the Deshaun Watson that we've seen of Houston old. Yeah. But that defense has looked great.
Yeah.
The defense, like Myles Garrett, who's that other guy that they have? I'm blanking on his name on the opposite side.
Zadarius Smith.
Yes. Thank you. Both of them have played very well throughout these first 5 games. Like, I was at a sports bar, so I didn't fully focus on the game, but I caught some glimpses of each game. And man, Myles Garrett, he's Aaron Donald. He's a man amongst boys. It's just what he does.
He toys with people. He's invented the new trend where he's doing the crossover. Before it's incredible.
It's unfair.
Talk about one of the surprises of the NFL. Let's talk about Houston versus Pittsburgh. Both ends, we all thought Pittsburgh was going to take the next step. We thought their quarterback was going to kind of get into the next tier potentially. There was a lot of offseason chatter about their offense being explosive with George Pickens, their offensive line being revamped, a solid defense. But I'll tell you what, nothing is going right for the Mike Tomlin Steelers here. TJ Watt has been the only bright spot. Now their quarterback is hurt. I just don't see them having that winning season, right? So, Houston on the other side takes a gamble and goes number 1 and number 2. Talk about just knowing what you want, right?
Having dividends.
This defensive end looks like a bona fide Von Miller. That's what he looks like. He looks like Von Miller. Their quarterback is
as advertised.
Yep. 1,200 yards, zero interceptions. He looks good. And doing this with a backup offensive line and Tank Dell and no-name really wide receivers. Dameon Pierce is playing decent, but, it just reminds me of that 2017 Saints draft class or that Dallas Cowboys draft class, the Gray ones, the Seahawks draft class, where it looks like the Texans could be in it for the next few years, guys.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to put that level of a claim on them yet, but so far, I agree. It's looked like a very great draft class. Like CJ Stroud, love what I've seen from him. Tank Dell. If you watched any film on him or saw any highlights going into draft season, you knew Tank Dell was he looked incredible. I got to see him at the Senior Bowl live and actually watch that little, I don't know if y'all saw it on Twitter, that little route that went viral where he crossed over some dude and then beat him on a post to the outside. I remember watching that from the outside, just being like, oh my God, what did I just watch? That was so you could see it. It's just you've never seen it as a player with his size. But Tank Dell looks incredible. I mean, Nico Collins looks like a real guy. You know, Dameon Pierce, as you said, he's been okay. He hasn't been terrible, but
The line is pretty banged up.
yeah, the offensive line's pretty banged up. And then like Will Anderson looks as advertised, man. Just Von Miller reincarnated, and
He's just got such good bend,
right. And you said it. I couldn't have said it better. Like, man, just kudos to DeMeco Ryans for seeing and knowing what you want and go and get it. He's like, I'm not thinking about the future. That is a cornerstone player at one of the most important positions in football. Let me go get him. I'm not waiting for next year. I love that. And I think he's going to be so successful, at least as from what I've seen and what he's done by his actions so far. I love it. I'm very excited for the future of the Texans.
Yeah. Eli?
Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud looks incredible. He's balling. Tank Dell has been obviously a beast. I mean, I think you guys hit it. I think there's no better way to say it, but they found their franchise. In 1 year, they got the coach who set the culture. They found their guys. That offensive coordinator, by the way, is balling. He's going to definitely get some head coaching looks probably this year. And then I think by next year he'll be a head coach. Like to get 2 seasons as the Texans offensive coordinator.
Him and Ben Johnson are some hot names right now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ben didn't get one that quickly, so I think he's gonna maybe like 3.
Well, I don't think he'll get a head coach this year, but I think like.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about Pittsburgh, guys. I mean, are we not making enough of this?
I will say
every single year Tomlin has had a winning season. It just doesn't look like this is the year.
Yeah. I'll say this. I was not high on Pittsburgh coming into the year. I did not like from last year. I know that they came on strong. And I'd tell you this, Mike Tomlin's a winner. If they won games and if they finish with a winning record, it would not surprise me. But they're just not they're not a contender for any sort of anything. Like they're not going to win play. If they get to the playoffs, they're not winning games. Like outside of TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, like that's about it. I mean, Kenny Pickett does not look good.
Minka's incredible. He's a top.
Minka is, but they need to move him back to free safety full time.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, I mean, the offensive line isn't good. I hate the running. I mean, Najee Harris is, I mean, you know how I feel about Najee. I don't think he's a top 25 running back anymore. He's slow. I mean, I do not like Pittsburgh. I'm not a fan.
My take on the Steelers is very simple. Kenny Pickett is not it. Mike Tomlin is it. Kenny Pickett is not. Yeah, small hands. Small hands.
Yeah. But speaking of a coach knowing what he wants, I mean, there's no excuse here. Tomlin has to be to blame. Here's the deal: is that's in his backyard. He got to scout him every day, in college, and he made the decision on that. He was their guy with extra evaluation. I mean, they practiced at the Steelers facility in some cases, so he had a hands-on experience on what he was getting.
Unintended.
Yeah, and anyway. So let's talk about Tampa Bay and New Orleans here. Tampa Bay.
Do we have to?
Yeah, Tampa Bay. Is right now the division goes through Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield is getting paid $30 million less than Derek Carr, which is pretty exciting. Baker Mayfield looks efficient. He looks like he made some incredible plays, to give him credit. Mike Evans got the best of this round of Marshawn Lattimore. Matter of fact, I saw a tweet that Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, Pete Werner, and Demario Davis had their lowest grades in the Saints era. Pro Football Focus. To give credit for Tampa Bay, they ran the ball. They had a great game plan, and the Saints look like their players were, just to be fair here, look like their players were really giving up. Chris Olave had 1 target in the first half, 1 catch in the second half. He looked like he was completely checked out. Their offensive line, to be fair, has not been great all year. Played better, but they haven't been great all year. Alvin Kamara had 30 receiving yards on you named it, 13 catches, right? So that's 2 yards per catch. I don't even know how that happens. And I'm really disappointed in the creativity for the Saints. And I'm really disappointed that there wasn't any changes in the offensive play calling. We have the players, but the play calling has been pretty bad. And I think the players know it, right? Alvin Kamara is quoted saying, we have to have some tough conversations. Before Matt gets emotional, let's go to Eli. What are your thoughts?
I really like what you said actually there. I was going to say the same thing. It seems like they lack creativity and they lack explosiveness. Like, even last year, like I remember watching, like, we complained about Andy, but I remember watching Andy just throw like these long bombs to Chris Olave. I haven't seen that this year. We watched all the games. It's lacked explosive plays. It's lacked, that creativity. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the defense looks great still. Last game wasn't good for them, obviously, but for the most part, they've looked good. Even still, I mean, they still held. I mean, it's not like the Bucs just went wild. They scored what with 21? Was that what they finished at 20?
The Saints haven't scored more than 20, I think, 1 points or something crazy like that in like 10 games.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, at a certain point, your defense isn't going to hold them to 12 points every single week. I mean, the offense has to be able to at least hit 20, and so I think that I will say the one.
You got to bring John Gruden in. You got to bring John Gruden in and let him play off it, and let him help with the offensive coordinator position. Like when you look at Derek Carr's best years, it was under John Gruden, right? So I say you got to make the change, man. Let's do it. What you got, Matt?
Fire everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. Pete Carmichael, bye. Dennis Allen, bye. I mean, I don't even know the other coaches. Get rid of everyone. I don't want anyone.
I mean, you look at some of our coaches that left and were, you look at Dan Campbell, right? Obviously we had an opportunity to have Dan Campbell. We had the opportunity to have Eric, and a few others as well, guys. So, it's pretty unfortunate that we didn't get our guy. But to be fair, hopefully they can make some offensive changes. If they're able to do that, I think they're a playoff roster team. But enough. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say last thing, because I don't want to get emotional about the Saints, but and I've said this multiple times though, and it looks like my biggest fear might be coming true. We're gonna be stuck with Derek Carr, and the Panthers are gonna have Bryce Young. I don't know if the Falcons will be bad enough to get an elite quarterback, but they'll figure out a way to get a quarterback. And then the Bucs will figure out another way to get a quarterback. And they're going to have fucking Derek Carr just sitting there, $100 million. That's like the Giants with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I would rather Daniel Jones. No,
I love the Saints culture. Michael Thomas tweeted, we're not looking to play for winning teams. We're looking to grind until we win. I think that Alvin Kamara wants to obviously retire as Saint. Our people love it here. And we talk about it a lot of times we think of coaches have the upper hands. I actually think the players for the Saints have the upper hand right now. And
they're not going to love it if they're not winning, though.
Absolutely.
I
think what's going to be first to go is the coach.
Exactly. So that's Dennis, and I'm not going to repeat on anything because I agree with both of y'all saying on how our offense has looked. Our defense looked elite to start, and now it's looked bad the last 2 weeks.
If you give me 13 catches, I could get 20 yards. That's a yard per play.
In the NFL?
No, maybe not. But and D2, 13 catches.
D2? So, yeah, okay.
So if I had 13 bubble screens and it was blocked perfectly, can I get 30 yards? Maybe. I don't know, man. Maybe we'll see. Speaking of a team that has one of the worst rosters in the NFL, but they have an offensive coach, let's talk about the Rams. Isn't it exciting when a team has creativity at the offensive position? boy, do I miss that. Sean McVay proving that he's one of the elites. To be fair, they have one of the worst rosters in the NFL. They have about 2 to 3 blue chip players at most, but they are finding ways to win. They're finding ways to believe. Let's talk about the Rams real quick. Aaron Donald is a bona fide leader, first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody else is on that defense. They're a bunch of no names. I played with them on Madden. Their best players are 69 overall. Their running back has 2 touchdowns. Sean McVay is a genius. Talk about just putting people in a position to succeed, right? It's incredible. Puka looks like Marvin Harrison, and Matt Stafford is doing no look passes. Now, I love what I see with the Colts. I love that they're by the way, their coach is also super creative. Anthony Richardson looks very similar to what Jalen Hurts looked like when he was early in his career. He's explosive, he's big, he's fast, he's strong. He makes some mistakes with a few fumbles, but he just believes he can make a play every time. The Colts are going to be a team that, I'll tell you what, man, if Jacksonville doesn't straighten up, it's going to be a competitive division because I can see Anthony Richardson being a great player in this league. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, so are we talking about the Colts? Or you kind of
Colts and the Rams. What were some of your takeaways?
Okay, yeah, because you kind of ventured more towards the Colts towards the end. That's why I got confused. But no, I mean the Rams. It's awesome. I mean, to see Sean McVay do what he's been doing this year. You know, you mentioned a couple of the guys already, Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, who's averaging like 2 touchdowns a game, which, by the way, we mentioned this before we started recording. I got Kyren Williams and I kicked both y'all asses in fantasy this year. So Kyren Williams, but also shout out to Tutu Atwell, man. Like Tutu, who was a 2nd round pick, like 3 years ago now. He had some 2 not great years. And really, I think he dealt with injuries a lot, but now in this kind of the way that the NFL is changing, and it's also interesting to see how fast that goes, because 2 years ago, if you would have told us that we had guys like starting level NFL wide receivers like Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, they're like probably aren't even, well, Devontae Smith for sure, aren't even 190 pounds and are looked at as like part of the cream of the crop in the wide receiver future. Dude, like even 2 years ago, like I would have said no, like that's not what happens. They won't last. Injuries will happen. It doesn't matter. Like something will happen that will like the NFL has changed, and guys like Tutu, who's coming along in that creative offense and has looked good the last few weeks, along with Puka, who I don't know about Marvin Harrison. That's but maybe like who looks a lot like Cooper Kupp at least, and that offense is just it.
But how good is Puka? Is Puka a number 1 wide receiver on most teams, or is he a number 1 wide receiver for the Rams?
I mean, I feel like we have to see him more before we really answer.
He looks like he's unguardable.
He does, yes, but I wanna exercise caution and just say, like, let's at least.
Is it the Brock Purdy effect? Is Brock Purdy good because he plays for the 49ers?
Doesn't that
Thank you. Yes, like, I don't want to get to that point. Yes,
yeah,
is he the Brock Purdy of wide receivers? Have an
offensive coach. Oh my, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. When you were talking about the Rams the other day, we're really seeing how much like coaching matters.
Yep.
Like just like the teams like you think about the Seahawks, and like even when they were rebuilding, they won.
Yep.
You look at like the Saints when they had what's his name?
They went 9-7.
Yeah. You look at the Rams, Sean McVay, they're rebuilding and they're winning and they're being competitive. You can go on and on. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter who the Chiefs throw out there at wide receiver. Andy Reid makes them look good, and obviously Patrick Mahomes, but it's like when you have that coach that just creates that culture of like, hey, we're going to win, doesn't matter who, you get the ball to your star players. Like you let your star players work in space, and it just magic happens. But yeah, and then I loved Anthony Richardson from last year when he played 6 games. So that's my guy. Like
Yeah, and he's been your
mean,
guy forever. Me and Matt were some haters for that. He went viral with that play from Florida.
Skeptical. I don't know about you. I wouldn't say I was hater. I was skeptical.
You didn't think he was first
I
round.
say
Matt, you did not think he was first round. And I know sometimes you forget you say things like that, but we were in the living room when you said he was not first round. Speaking of quarterback controversy, I want to give Eli his props. Let's if we want to give him a round of applause for Sam Howell, because he did pick him to be their number one quarterback in that draft class. And boy, does he look like he makes all the throws. Let's just pause for a second. He makes all the throws. He's speaking of the Redskins Eagles games, to keep it competitive at Eagles at their home field, going to overtime. Eric did an excellent job calling the plays. As a Saints fan, I wish he would have been our head coach.
Hire him to be our head coach.
Hire him, please. Isn't he a New Orleans native? Is he a New Orleans native?
Eric Bieniemy? I don't think so. Is he? I'm Googling that.
I'm not sure, but I could be wrong. Obviously, I've been wrong many times. But he's a New Orleans
native.
He's a New Orleans native. I thought.
Oh, so. Hire this man, Gail. Go hire him.
Hey, look, Dan Campbell, by the way, is a Detroit native. Talk about like how cool that would be to get our hometown hero here. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I could add value to this podcast. But speaking of which, let's go to the Redskins. The Redskins looks good. Chase Young had a comeback game, which was really exciting. He did well. Their wide receivers look like stars, guys. Jahan Dotson looks great. Terry looks great. However, the Eagles just find ways to win 4-0. Even with it, those good teams win their worst games. And, the Eagles didn't play their best game, but they found a way to win. Man, I thought Riverboat Ron was gonna go for 2. I thought he was gonna go for 2, but he didn't. Eli, do you see the Redskins really turning into a playoff contender, or do you think they're a few years away?
I don't know. I think anything could happen. I think there's like a clear top like 4, 5 in the NFC, and then those final 2 spots could be up for grabs. But obviously, I do like Sam. I like the 2 receivers. Their defensive line is like it's nasty. I mean, it's ferocious. They got some ballers on the D line. I do like that corner that they picked too, Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah, he's great.
He's good too. And so I think they got some pieces. And then obviously on the Eagles side, I think I like what you said. Good teams win bad games. We look at like the Chiefs last year, and the Chiefs had a lot of like games, especially in the beginning, where you were just kind of like, is this the same Chiefs team? They were missing Tyreek and stuff, and then they turned it on late and won. Yep. And I think that's something like people are kind of worried about the Eagles. I'm like, I think it's good for them to be able to just see how do you win when everything's not clicking.
Yeah. Jalen Carter looks like a bona fide star. I mean, gosh, passing on him just makes everybody look pretty silly. Sometimes the film doesn't lie. Sometimes the film is the truth.
I mean, the Bears look like absolute idiots.
It goes to your point that you were saying. Sometimes, dude, like you just freaking overthink it, man. Like Jalen Carter should have been the first overall pick.
I mean, would you show me this kid Tyree Wilson or whatever his name is for?
What was his stat? I almost want to go find it.
Zero pressures.
Zero pressures.
And then the worst all time.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. By the way, I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but Vegas does not know how to draft D linemen. But Max Crosby's incredible. Draft,
period.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Redskins and the Eagles game?
I thought it was awesome. I didn't watch a lot of that game, but I did catch the end, like a lot of us did with that bonus coverage. And I agree. I thought Riverboat Ron would have went for that extra point. I mean, not the extra point, the 2-point conversion. And just from what I know, Yeah, I think he would have too. But I did also want to kind of throw this out here that Riverboat Ron's he's a great coach, man. Whether they're rebuilding now or they're are just kind of trying to contend, I don't think they're going to be able to contend because I think the Eagles and Dallas are just too good.
Yeah.
But for the future, they're set up nicely. You have Terry, who's kind of getting a little up there. He's like 28, but who still has a lot of good years left, I believe, obviously. Jahan Dotson, who you mentioned, and even Brian Robinson, man, has been like back to life. I mean, not to say like anything bad about him last year, but he didn't look as explosive as he does this year. And obviously the reason for that is probably because he had the incident where he got shot.
Yeah, I thought on that last drive where Sam dropped that dime, I thought it was a catch. When he stepped on the arm, I thought it was really, really close. I thought that I thought it was a catch, at least in my opinion. I know look, I'm not a ref by any means, but just by the look of it, right? Like it looked like a catch. I agree. Redskins look competitive. Eagles are finding ways to win. I think Eagles, 49ers, and Dallas are in a tier of its own. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you and Sam Howell, y'all like your doppelgangers.
Yeah,
you have a lot of doppelgangers to quarterbacks. You always said in a different life you would have been a quarterback, Dave.
Yeah,
maybe that's a sign.
Well, it's kind of like what identity I want to choose that day. When I shave, I go pure Rex Grossman. When I have the beard, I'm Sam Howell, right? So you never know which route I'm going to take. Speaking of
your birthday,
yeah,
Sam
disappointing
Howell and Rex Grossman jersey.
I could take that. Disappointing teams, guys. Bengals are now 1-3. They lost pretty mightily here to the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry looked like the next Joe Montana. I mean, he was passing touchdowns, running for touchdowns. He looked incredible. I know that Tennessee did not have the game that they wanted versus the Saints, but they're back at 500, which is exciting. The Bengals look like they're the worst offense in the NFL. I saw something on Twitter the other day that when you think of coaches that are the first to get fired, their coach at the Bengals is on the hot seat right now. At this point, if they lose again, are you just pulling Joe and saying, "Hey, get healthy"? What did y'all see from this game? And do y'all think the Bengals are actually contenders this year?
You can go, Eli.
I mean, I told you last year I don't like Zach Taylor. He is. We talk about coaches. There's the difference right there. Mike Vrabel is great. I mean, Mike Vrabel is a great coach. He's going to get the best out of his teams. Zach Taylor just has an absolute overwhelming amount of talent. That was what got him to the Super Bowl, and the fact that Joe's the guy. And this year, you're seeing Joe's slightly hobbled. The calf is clearly bothering him. The O-line is
he can't move. If you watch
the O-line is
he can't maneuver around the line. What makes Joe special is what makes Bryce Young special, right? And I'm not we're comparing completely different players, but what makes Joe special is he makes so many plays outside the pocket. And he can't do that. You're taking away his superpower.
Yeah. And they don't have when we talk about explosive plays, they don't have any explosive plays. Like when Jamar Chase had his best week 2 weeks ago, he had 18 catches. It took him 18 catches to get over 100 yards. I mean,
12.
I know, but still, that was the most catches he's ever had in his career.
Yeah.
Now,
what are your thoughts?
And so, yeah.
Do you think the Bengals are even a contender?
I mean, yes, you're always a contender when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and that offensive arsenal. I mean, I am kind of more in the boat towards Eli. I don't really believe in Zach Taylor. Never really have. I mean, but to say that he went to 2 straight AFC championships, you're not this isn't the NBA, you're not just going to get to the finals every year because you have LeBron James. You have to be a good coach. So I'm not going to completely throw him away. I do kind of also agree with you, Dave. I don't know if they give it like sit him, like because if he's playing and he's able, maybe not
I think
move
it's one of those
around.
injuries where it's not going to be healed this year.
Exactly. Like he may not be able to move around, but like we're in the midst of a season. You say this all the time, you're not going to get healthier in the middle of the season.
Oh.
It's only going to be downhill from here. The next time you're really going to be healthy is when the season ends. So it's all about managing injuries at this point. So maybe he misses some practices here and there. But like, I don't think you can, and also I just don't think Joe Burrow is that type of guy where he would willingly sit.
No, he's not. But when you think about what Joe does, right? When you think about what Joe does, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, Ja'Marr Chase getting a lot of short passes. Why is that? Because Joe has to stay in the pocket. Joe has to stay in the pocket. What makes Joe great is when he sits there and then he does a little spin around, goes to the right side, and hits Ja'Marr Chase for a 50-yard touchdown, right? When he's outside the hash. That's what makes Joe great. What would happen if we took Josh Allen's legs away, right? Like, so it's like one of those things where I think they're trying to adapt the game plan here, and it's just not working.
It's exactly. So that's what I was going to say. That would be like my rebuttal. For one, that goes to Zach Taylor. You have to be able to adapt, but that also goes to Joe Burrow as well. Like we've seen great quarterbacks get banged up. We've seen Drew Brees basically like what did he do? Like basically didn't have a shoulder.
Patrick Mahomes won the game on a bum ankle.
That's another example. We've seen time and time again, and I can go through and like just say how quarterbacks had terrible injuries, but they find ways to get it done.
Joe has to get it done. Joe has
to get it done. He's in that tier. He's a franchise quarterback. He has all the talent in the world, not just around him, but in himself. Yeah. And he has the confidence to do it too. And I don't think he's lost any of that confidence whatsoever.
Joe's a psychopath. I don't think he cares. Like, I don't think he sees anything. I don't think he feels anything. You have that poll that
he's the cyborg.
Yeah, he is. He's a cyborg. He doesn't feel emotions, right? Like, and that's part of what makes Joe great is like he could be down by 50 and he just doesn't feel it. Like he's just, so he just has that clutch factor. All right, guys. Let's talk about Vegas and the Chargers. Khalil Mack, 6 sacks. What an incredible performance. The Chargers lose Mike Williams. Their new guy, Quentin Johnson, I watched him play. Didn't look really that great. Had a few drop passes. Their Chargers defense is definitely a little suspect here. Vegas had a chance to win. There was one time they just could not stop Davante Adams. I mean, it seemed like every single play, Davante Adams was getting the ball. They almost beat him with, what's his name? Kevin O'Connell or whatever his name is. And this is guy.
Aiden O'Connell, yeah.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell. Yeah. Aiden O'Connell comes in.
The head coach for the Vikings.
But Aiden, and you know what I didn't like? I didn't like the coach for the Raiders blaming the rookie quarterback for their loss. I saw the press conference. I was not a fan of that. He was like, oh, well, if you're going to play quarterback in this league, you got to protect the ball. Buddy, the only reason why you were in this game was because the quarterback. Max Crosby's a bona fide superstar, but boy, Vegas is they just don't look good. And I am not sold on the Chargers, by the way. Matt, I know you've been the biggest critic of the Chargers, and especially their head coach. Are the Chargers a playoff team?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe in their head coach. I think he needs to be fired. And I actually was just looking this up as well because I wasn't a fan of Quentin Johnson either. I thought he may have fell into the perfect spot with the Chargers, but it kind of goes into my original beliefs is he couldn't catch the ball in college. That's exactly what I was looking up right here. His drop percentage in college was 11.8. It's not good. That's a lot of drop passes. And that's not all Max Dugan's fault. You can even watch him against the Georgia game. He got manhandled. Like you can get beat like your team, but you as an individual have to show your worth. And in that game, Quentin Johnston showed me that he got manhandled.
Quentin had plenty of opportunities this game and just couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah. He doesn't have hands. He reminds me of honestly what scared me about Drake London coming out and why I was so off of him on fantasy wise, and maybe not like NFL wise, but like I was skeptical real life. Is that like you've said it before too, is that these big guys a lot of the time they have to be strong and be able to go up and get it. And if Quentin Johnston's not that, he's not strong, he's big, he's kind of fast. I don't remember what his 40 was. I think it was 40.
Palmer's out playing him.
Exactly. So like that's the point. And he's a disappointment. And I should have trusted my original instincts. I got a little excited, fell into it when he got drafted to the Chargers, but no, man, he is not it. And
so the Chargers are not a playoff team. Khalil Mack, obviously incredible with Joey.
They need to get out of there. What's his face? Brandon Staley, get him the F out of there.
Eli, thoughts?
Same thing. I mean, Brandon Staley's a defensive coach who hasn't had. I mean, have the Chargers been a top 20 defense any year that he's been there?
J.C. Jackson doesn't.
I don't think they have. I mean, players go there and their careers like they get worse. Like J.C. Jackson has gotten worse. I mean, like it's just like they get worse. It's like their linebackers. They've drafted how many linebackers that none of them look special. I mean, Kenneth looks all right. I mean, that was Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, by the way, had 0 sacks until that game. 0 sacks. And they had they were playing like the worst O-line and a rookie quarterback. And so, he's a defensive coach that can't coach a good defense that has a lot of elite stars.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fire him and get Kellen Moore as the interim head coach.
Yeah.
Give it to him.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think we have to say anything else about those teams. I don't think the Chargers are a playoff team either. Speaking of, just pure embarrassment, Dallas just played the New England Patriots and just completely disrespected them. They had no respect for their offense. You can see Mac Jones is not working out. I think we found out 2 things this week. Now, the verdict's out for Derek Carr and a few others. All right, we'll see what it looks like. But 2 things happened this week. Daniel Jones, I don't know if this coach believes in him, and I definitely know that Bill Belichick is done with the Mac Jones experiment here. They're going to have to get a quarterback. To be fair, I wish he would have had weapons, but man, Dallas just terrorized New England. It wasn't even close. Dak Prescott, I want to give him credit because I've been a Dak Prescott hater. He's playing mistake-free football, man. Matter of fact, he's cutting down his turnovers after leading the NFL in interceptions. Their defensive, obviously Michael Parsons is the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor that we've seen in so long. And Dallas is a bona fide playoff contender that could potentially go deep. And as a Saints fan, I hate to say that. Eli, what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I think that number one, I think that Dak is playing very well. CeeDee Lamb is a beast. I think that one other thing that we're seeing is how important the wide receiver position is becoming.
Yes.
Like you can't get away with you look at we talked about the Giants, they don't have a guy. I mean, you have a bunch of tier 2 wide receiver 2, potentially even probably wide receiver 3s. Same thing with the with New England. You don't have a guy that you can go to. And obviously Mac Jones isn't the guy, but you got to get a receiver that you can trust. We look at how much, and once again, I don't think this made Josh Allen's career, but I think that having Stephon Diggs is a game changer. When the rest,
look at AJ Brown, look at Devontae Smith. You got to put your people. You got to surround them.
Look at how much having Devontae Adams helped a rookie quarterback this week. It's just
you can throw the ball to him.
Yep. Travis Kelce for the Chiefs. Having that guy that you can trust is a difference maker. But yeah, Mac Jones is not the guy, and they need some help.
I feel bad for Mac Jones. I really do. part of me wants to say it's like kind of the Alex Smith treatment where, you know, because Alex Smith for the first couple years had it rough. And then, you know, he finally was able to get that coach that really believed in him and went all in on what he did best. So I'm hoping that's what it comes out to Mac Jones, because I was a fan of his coming out. But I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. But also, Bill Belichick didn't really do him any favors. You know, like Bill Belichick is just as much to blame for Mac Jones as Mac Jones is to blame for Mac Jones.
Growing up, I don't know if there was this big misconception, but I always thought that Bill Belichick was a great drafter. Christian Gonzalez looks good this year, but boy, oh boy, their draft picks have just been awful.
Awful.
He's good at drafting. He's good at drafting defensive backs, and typically he's had some good O linemen. That's it.
Yeah, I'm. You know, it is what it is. Dallas looks great, guys. San Francisco and Arizona. San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey, 3+ touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk is ripping it up. George Kittle looks great. Debo, when healthy, looks good. Their defense looks incredible. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa playing lights out. Brock Purdy started the game. I think 11 for 11. You know, Kyle Shanahan, a lot like those offensive play, you know, the Sean McVays. It's fun football. Every time I watch San Francisco, I'm like, that's what football looks like. Like, that is incredible. I think they're the premier team in the NFL. If I had to pick a roster, I'm going with San Francisco. They look great. And, you know, shout out to Joshua Dobbs for you know, playing some good football over the last few weeks. James Conner has really stepped up. They've gotten Rondell Moore involved a little bit, which has been really cool. But San Francisco was just too. I mean, they're just a juggernaut. They're a heavyweight, you know, contender here. Matt, what are some of your thoughts on the game?
I mean, there's nothing really else to say about the 49ers. You hit it on the knot. Brandon Ayuk is a beast. Deebo Samuel is a beast. You know, like Brock Purdy Brock Purdy just gets the job done. I'm not going to say he's a beast because I mean, they don't need him to be a beast. They just say, do not mess up. Here is the keys. Don't mess, and not to take anything away from him, because he does actually make some really nice throws.
He's like he's a quick release type of guy.
He does, yes, and he could tell he's a very smart player. He can dissect defenses, so like that is something that goes into his favor, and he fits very well into that Kyle Shanahan system. And you know, speaking of him, like maybe like because we just talked about this guy as well. Mac Jones was apparently like Kyle Shanahan's huge crush in the draft, and was like, they were so close to taking him instead of Trey Lance. Man, if only they would have never had to trade all. I mean, they wouldn't have to like draft.
Who's the better player, Brock Purdy or Mac Jones?
Exactly. Like they're basically the same player, you know, except one was a 1st-round pick, one was a 7th-round pick. So I feel bad for Mac Jones, but I mean, Brock Purdy has everything that they need to succeed. And the 49ers, they look phenomenal.
Brock Purdy win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, at the rate they're playing, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think so. They have an elite defense. They have a running game. They have weapons all around them. They have the head coach. Why not? Sure, yeah.
You know what else I think is cool about Brock Purdy? Is the team believes in him. We always talked about this with like Jimmy G. Like the team believed in Jimmy and they believed he could take him. They never believed that with Trey. Like we watched him with Trey those couple weeks. It never looked like they believed it. Like when remember when like Trey got hurt and Jimmy came back in the game, and it just like it was that switch. The team believes in Brock, and I think it's the best thing that you could say about him, is beyond any of his other talents, is they believe in him.
Yeah,
he has an awesome nickname too. I don't want to say it. Big Blank Brock.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, speaking of which, that kind of shows my my age here. Way back in ancient civilization, you know, as an NFL fan, the Tony Romo, you know, had stardom for 2 things: for the missed extra point that they did not go to the playoffs on, and number 2, for Jessica Simpson. Now, for the Swifties in the house. Here. You know, wow, it's cool to see Blake Lively, Deadpool, you know, Wolverine. Everybody was there. at Kansas City Stadium, which was pretty exciting. Brittany Mahomes looked pretty upset. That's huge news. She looked like she wasn't getting the attention that she deserves. But it's Swifty's house now, and you could hear Swifty in the suite singing the Kansas City theme song, which was pretty cool. And anyway, so Kansas City played the other day against the Jets, and I have a few thoughts on this game. I thought their quarterback Wilson had his best game of his career. I think that's the first thing. Number two is look, as a football fan, I hate to say this, but at some point I thought that the referees and listen, I'm just calling it for what it is. I don't think that was a defensive hold on Sauce Gardner, and I think as well it's Mahomes' league, and he gets some special treatment. Now, look, it was like that with Tom Brady as well, and this is the face of the franchise is Patrick Mahomes. But I believe that the Jets should have won that game. I actually think the Jets were a better team that day, not overall. And Quentin Williams looked good. Garrett Wilson looked good. Their quarterback looked good. I hated what Rodney Harrison tried to set up Chris Jones to say at the end of the game. I was, oh my gosh. I don't post on Twitter, but I reposted that. That upset me. And Pat Mahomes, 2 interceptions that game, but ended up winning. So obviously, listen, Kansas City won. I think they're, I said earlier, they're tier 1, but I got to give it up for Wilson. What are y'all thoughts on the game, guys?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I thought Zach Wilson had the best game of his career. It was cool for him. I do think it's cool. Same thing, like how much his teammates. I really love, I don't know if you guys have seen the videos of his post-game conferences now and in the past, and how much ownership he's taking. I remember in the past, he always got a lot of flack for saying, yeah, it's not my fault that we lost or stuff like that. And, this year just really taking ownership, and you saw him after the game and stuff. And I thought that was cool. And, I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy, but I definitely think he has the talent to get some stuff done, and maybe a fun Ryan Fitzpatrick, who knows?
Okay.
All righty. I don't know about that, but I mean, hey, I'm rooting for him. Hey, Cougar Den, baby. Cougar Den.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hey, I just wanted to say, I agree. I thought Zach Wilson looked really great. I was proud of him, man. I was happy to see him do that, especially because he's been getting a lot of scrutiny still. And, rightfully so. He's in New York. It's the media market, but I hope he continues to at least
what a disappointing year for New York,
every game, but play, show progress, at least show you belong in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Eli mentioned it. The Giants, a year after going to the playoffs, look like they're not going to do anything, and then the Jets, obviously, what a big disappointment. I feel bad for Gary V. I see him on Instagram every week, JETS. So anyway, but I was to see what Joe Namath said on ESPN, to see what Rodney Harrison said, it was pretty disappointing. I love what Michael Parsons said. This is a brotherhood.
Yeah.
Uplift people, and you shouldn't. These are humans, and listen, man. You shouldn't talk about anybody's. The way he said he was garbage on national TV, I thought that was egotistical, and I was pretty disappointed in Rodney Harrison. What's the bigger win here? Tony Romo with Jessica Simpson, or Taylor Swift with Kelsey? Matt?
Oh, it's easy. Trav with Swifty, man. No disrespect to Jessica, because she was great back in the day, but Swifty, I don't want to say it because I feel like it's almost blasphemy to say, but she's almost she is the white girl Beyonce. She's a boss.
She's more than that. Swifty's one of the most
popular. I know that. I didn't want to say it and be sound disrespectful, because she's a boss.
And by the way, I'm a big Beyonce fan, but Swifty's probably one of the top 5 most popular people in the world.
Yeah, and I'm not a Swifty.
I mean,
hey, Eli is a Swifty. You're a Swifty. You like it.
I'm a Swifty.
Back in the day, dude, teardrops on my guitar, 15, what was a love song, those, even the one you sent the
Love
other
Story.
day, what was We're Never Getting Back
I mean,
Together?
I'll say this.
So
I'll say
hard.
this.
I'm saying it for the world. Those songs are awesome.
There's a few players in the NFL that I'm big fans of, right? I'm a big fan of Jay Cutler. I just like how he eats. I like how he eats a lot of meat, smokes cigars, maybe a cigarette here and there, and has some whiskey. If I had to just chill with one dude, it'd be Jay Cutler. I mean, he always has the baddest chicks, man, and just a great overall dude. I'll tell you what, I'm getting a Kelsey jersey, and
I love Trav. I mean, the podcast is so great.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about the Swiftie effect? You want to talk about the Swiftie effect? That was the most watched game since the Super Bowl.
yeah.
I mean, she didn't. She doesn't even play. His jersey sale
number 5.
I mean, she doesn't even play. You see her a couple of times on camera you see her 4 or 5 times on camera. And everybody, did you see?
You know what's so funny?
They were showing.
I watched the game for Swiftie. I did. I didn't even watch the game because I was interested. I went on Twitter, and I'm guilty of this. I put the word Taylor Swift in the search box because I wanted to see Taylor Swift walk in. And I'll tell you,
I saw a video. It was so funny. A guy was at the Panthers game, and he was showing a video. There was a girl at the Panthers game who had a Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift jersey. It literally said T Swift or something, and it was a Travis Kelce at the Panthers game.
You know who the real winner of this is, though? Y'all know.
The mom.
A Kelsey.
Yeah.
Mama, 2 sons in the NFL and bagged Taylor Swift as her daughter-in-law, possibly.
And honestly, everybody overlooks her, but Jason Kelce's wife is awesome too. On the podcast,
Taylor Swift. She's
not.
Does this hurt the Matthew family though? Does this put a shadow? I mean, maybe it's the best thing that can happen because the Mahomes family is a little nuts, so it kind of puts the shadow on that. So guys, all right, as we wrap up here, most disappointed team, 30 seconds left. Let's start with Eli.
Most disappointing Bengals.
Okay. Matt.
I mean, Bengals, yeah, Saints, obviously disappointing. I could say that. Yeah. I could also say the Vikings as well.
Yep. I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna go Denver. I expected more. I'm not saying I thought that they were gonna be undefeated. I just thought that when people would mess up for Sean Payton, when they would come to the sideline, they were terrified, right? They were terrified of Sean, and
he's about to clean house.
Yeah, he's got a clean house. Most surprising team, I got Houston and the Redskins. I think Houston's the most surprising team. I didn't think them to win that fast. I don't know if they're a playoff team, but I just like their players. I think they have some continuity, and I think they're going to be good for a long time. Matt, what's the most surprising team?
Well, it's the Commanders. I know we've actually, both of us have said Redskins multiple times, but it's the Commanders. But yeah, the Commanders have been very impressive. Most impressive team. Yeah, Commanders. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. Yeah, I guess I could say the Titans as well. Because, I mean, the Titans, to be 500, and honestly, I was not very impressed with their roster. I just didn't think that they had a very old roster.
I mean, very old, yeah. DeAndre Hopkins is their guy.
I wasn't really they had some pieces on defense still, but man, they play hard for Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a phenomenal coach. No matter the talent, those guys are going to go out there, play hard, and they're going to be, a team that you can't really roll over. You have to take serious.
You have to take them seriously. What you got, Eli?
I was actually going to say the Cardinals. I mean, everybody thought they were going to be a complete pushover, that they were just wanting Caleb Williams, and they've shocked. They've looked good. Jonathan Gannon was considered the worst hire, and I mean, he's turned. I mean, the Cardinals' defense has absolutely nobody. It has literally nobody, and they're feisty. I mean, they look good. The offense, I mean, Joshua Dobbs looked good, and I mean, it's they're not going to win a bunch of games, but they're going to at least be competitive. It reminds me a little bit of when the Lions got Dan Campbell a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They lost a lot, but they look good doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Offensive rookie of the year, Eli.
Offensive rookie of the year, I mean, got to be Puka.
Yeah, I got Puka.
CJ Stroud, throw a wrench in there.
Okay, defensive player, rookie of the year. Start off with Eli.
I love Devon. I think Devon Witherspoon is
Did he play one game or did he play like
2 games. He's played 2 games.
He's played 2
games? Okay, cool. So he's deep. Okay, what you got, Matt?
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson. I'm going Jalen Carter. All right, and then now this is where it gets interesting because I think there's going to be some sparks here with at least some of the things that I wrote down here. So let's go with defensive player of the year, Matt.
Ooh, defensive player of the year. That's interesting. Let's see. Nick Bosa repeating.
Got it. I'm going. I think the easy answer is Micah, but I think Myles Garrett's been slightly better this year.
Yeah, I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say Micah. I mean, the dude is 2 years. I mean, even last year, I know Nick won, but he was dominant last year too. Yeah, you could throw maybe TJ Watt in there too.
Yeah, TJ's had a great year. He's just not on a winning team. Offensive player of the year.
You want Eli?
I'd say Christian. I'm going McCaffrey. He's
McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
I mean, he leads the league in scrimmage yards and in scrimmage touchdowns right now. He's absolutely unstoppable in the Niners offense.
All right. Christian's probably the easy answer. I'm gonna go Jalen Hurts.
I'm gonna go Tua. And
I was actually going to say Tyreek was my second one, by the way.
Yeah, I think that Tua, Tua's 3-1. He's played great. We'll see if he takes the next tier here at the quarterly review. I think he's where he needs to be. MVP, Eli.
I'm going Josh.
Yeah,
I'm going Josh Allen. I mean, since game 1, me included, I just shit on him for game 1. And he took it personally, and he's on a vengeance. I mean, there's no better way to put it than he took it personally.
Yeah, I want to put Mahomes. It's like the Pro Bowl vote because like you're so close to just putting Mahomes for everything. But the best player in football has been Josh Allen. And yeah. Josh Allen is the MVP of the NFL if it ended today. Matt, what you got?
No, Josh Allen, I would say for sure. I do think, Lamar Jackson as well, Patrick Mahomes, those are guys that are always in there. Yeah. Jalen Hurts, it's a quarterback's award. So like just throw in any of the quarterbacks.
I'll
put Tua at number 2 though, by the way, just so you know.
I'll put Tua at number 2 as well, by the way, too. So I had Tua as my number 2 MVP candidate.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't believe he'll stay healthy. That's why.
That's not the question. The question is right now, right?
Right now, okay, yeah, no, right now, yeah.
Well, guys. Hopefully next time we do this, we have the bearded legend Jared on. We have CJ on as well. To wrap up here. Loki comes out in 2 days. I've heard some mixed reviews on
Ahsoka's out tonight.
I don't even know what that
Star
is.
Wars fans.
Yeah, it's okay. So to wrap up Loki, if Loki is a bust, are you in or out on Marvel? Matt, let's go around the horn here. If Loki is a bust,
I mean, let's be honest. You started off with the wrong person. Green Lantern's one of like my favorite worst movies of all time. So like I've seen that movie probably more times than I care to say. So yeah, of course I'm still going to be in on Marvel after this.
Yeah, me too. I feel like Loki and Deadpool and Daredevil are all in the same tier for me, where they can't mess this up, man.
They're not gonna.
Eli has been a Marvel hater over the last few months. He refuses to watch any of the shows. And he just looked me dead in the eyes the other day and said he isn't a Marvel fan. So are you looking forward to
I thought you watched Secret Invasion. Did you not watch Secret
Invasion?
Invasion?
Watch it.
I didn't watch it. I watched a couple episodes and then I was disappointed. I was like, no.
Yeah, I mean,
But I will. Yeah, I will say I've been a huge Marvel critic. I had a little bit of a breakthrough I was really thinking, I was like, man, you even think back to like the beginning of Marvel before Avengers 1 came out, and it was like, Thor 1 was like, Iron Man 1 was like good, but like you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it's like it's definitely one of the worst ones. Iron Man 2, Captain America 1, it's like movies that were like good, but they just weren't like it. And then Avengers 1 changed everything. So I reserve judgment until Avengers 1, or until the first Avengers of the new era comes out. Once that comes out, we'll really get a.
I'm glad that you're being curious first, critical second, because you wouldn't even watch Daredevil after Elektra died for over a year.
So I just want to say this. Y'all can say what you want, but y'all know damn well when Marvel brings in the X-Men, every single one of y'all are going to be right back front and center.
I'm look, Daredevil shirt right now. So look, I am a Marvel fanatic, but they've got to get it together. So I hope that Loki does well. I'm really excited to see this version of Kang the Conqueror. And I'm excited to really just see their storyline, because we know it's going to go right into Deadpool, and that's what's exciting. Is this is going to go right into Deadpool? So, anyway, all right, guys. Well, until next time.